Our beloved Unveiled, and it's so great to be back. I was traveling a little bit and celebrating my mother's life. She passed away last November, but we did the celebration in May with my family and all my siblings, and it was a wonderful time. It's amazing how over the years how God restores so much with your family. My mom was a woman of faith, and it was beautiful to celebrate her life. And I think, in the last couple of decades, God really restored a lot with her and I, and with my siblings. It was a wonderful celebration, and to see all of us there, and all my nieces and nephews, and other cousins, and it was just delightful. And it's so good to be back. And I wanted to share with you a little bit today, kind of going back years ago. The Lord had me, spoke to me about, he didn't have me, but I chose to follow him in that realm, but to start a business called Threshing Floor Bookkeeping Services. And, in the time he had taught me about the threshing floor, a little bit about, how it goes down into cleaning up the books and stuff like that. But just to do a cleanup with people who are, their books were not set up properly, or there were messes, not reconciliations, and all that stuff. So over the years, it's kind of been interesting seeing where people paid sales tax, stuff like that. But God drew me there and began to show me things in that realm of, with numbers and with businesses, and keeping people in accordance to the laws of the land, of course, and then with the state as well. But the other day, the Lord spoke to me about reading the book of Ruth, and I got into Ruth 3. I don't know about with Boaz. I don't know if you all probably have read that, but it's interesting to see. But the threshing floor is talked about in there, and about the winnowing fork. And I'm like, it's been a long time since I've really dove into this a little bit. So I kind of was reading in there about, how he was at the threshing floor, and then the winnowing fork was being used. And I kind of looked up. I felt like I was supposed to do a deeper dive into it. So I looked up the meaning, and the spiritual meaning of the threshing floor it's a separation of refinement and judgment. And I thought, okay, Lord, what is it that you're wanting me to see, even in a deeper aspect with this? Because my business has been growing. I have 4 employees now, and it still seems to be growing. And I'm excited about what God's doing, and the relationships that we're building, the people that we're helping. But I looked up again, and it's the harvested wheat. So when you get the wheat and you harvest that wheat, it's beaten and it's tossed in the wind, and the winnowing fork is used to toss it up in the wind, and it separates the valuable life-sustaining grain from the worthless chaff. And so I kind of look back over the years, kind of that's what the Lord's done in my life. Uh, Not that I've been beaten, but in the spiritual realm, it's kind of like some things had to be really where the Lord had to really get in my face and just show me that this is not His way of being or living my life, or the thoughts that would go in, even the battle of the mind with the worthless, and the not being valued or worth anything. They said with the worthless, and the shame and the guilt and condemnation that I carried for years. And because of that, the Lord, those things were beaten out. I mean, those are like what chaff, like it's worthless. It doesn't benefit my life in any way, or staying stuck in things from my past. And so those were things that he had been showing me, but he was like taking me even deeper about in the business realm, and then how we live life, and how we view our lives, and are we living in poverty versus abundance with the Lord for the kingdom of God's sake. So anything that is not of the kingdom, I think those are the things that are worthless, because they're not eternal. And so that's something that he began to show me even more. And we want the valuable life-sustaining grain. What is life sustaining for us? And he was showing me that more, because I'm shifting in a different place, and how I show up in my world with my employees, and how I value others and working with my clients. And then also, I take women on retreats, and then I have a Bible study in my home on Wednesdays, and we do art, and then I do nanny camp with kids. And so it's like, how am I showing up, and what is life sustaining? What's the grain that he's doing? What is it that we're harvesting there? And I felt like the Lord was saying that it's a multifaceted season of testing and transition. And so when we live in our lives and when we're seeking him, there'll be this time of testing and transition that he is bringing us through. And if we don't, you know, if we fail that test, you know what? We get to do it again, and he'll bring us that place again to to work to see if we can transition out of that mindset, that old mindset, the mindset that is not life sustaining. And it's a place where he takes us where our ego, unhealthy habits, our fleshly desires, where all of that gets stripped away so that our God-given purpose can shine through us. And he was showing me that as I'm reading through Ruth again. It was like, I've read Ruth before. It was just like new manna for me. That was like new awareness of what he's been doing all these years in my life, and still coming to this point is, what else, Lord? What is the next? Like, what is it that you're wanting me to get rid of in my life, in my thought processes too, and even in my habits or things that I'm doing regularly that aren't, like being on your phone, or spending, before you know it, you might be clicking away and looking at things. Before you know it, an hour's passed. It's like, wow, what a waste of time that was. But and those are some unhealthy habits. And I mean, there's so many things. Could be drinking, it could be watching TV, whatever it is. I used to have a habit of shopping. When I would get upset over I want to go shop, I don't do that anymore, thank goodness. But the Lord stripped that away from me. So there's things that he's wanting to take us to. And I'm asking him even now, like, what are the next places of unhealthy habits, and where I still have some ego, some pride in my fleshly desires that he wants to strip away from me, and that could shine through. And I love how he shows, he's so gracious and so good and so kind. And I think it's amazing how, I think all these years I've walked him, it's just like there's more. There's always more. He wants to take us a little bit higher. And I love that it's that life sustaining grain that he wants us to operate out of, and where it will separate the true faith, our true faith, and the motives from selfish ones. So he wants us to have motives that are for the kingdom of God and not selfish motives. And that's something he was showing me too. Like, what am I doing, even for my business, for my employees, for my, um, you know, uh, for my clients and for my grandchildren, for my children still alive today? Am I, my thoughts, or even things that I'm wanting to do or be there, how I show up for them, is it out of a selfish motive? Or is it really out of the kingdom and the heart of God? And I'll share this with you. I struggled because I have, uh, eh, my employees. I'm not going to point anybody out, but they would I've opened the door to let them bring their kids during the day, because we have a bigger house, and we have outside there that they can hang out while she's there at work. It's been tough on them, and it's not, didn't bother me. And then there were once in a while a thought would come in, like, well, in the business room, you don't allow that to happen. You're not setting a good boundary, Cynthia. And I didn't know if that was the Lord, or if that was, the enemy trying to get me to come against my employees. So, because it really hadn't been an issue, not really. And so I prayed about it, and the Lord said, what is in the kingdom? There's abundance, and there's provision for everyone. And I felt like the Lord said, this is part of his kingdom, that I'm helping him, and I'm giving them an opportunity to grow, and I'm giving an opportunity to work, to earn money. And um, it's okay. It's okay. And I had to sit back, and I felt this peace come over me, and like the Lord saying, even working with the kids, and loving on them, and let them be a part, and not getting upset if something happens, or whatever it is. if there's a mess, whatever, not to let it bother me. Like, who cares about that? They're not being disruptive. Her kids are really well behaved and um, very polite, and they're kids and stuff happens. But that was one of the areas of the Lord told me, like, what is my faith and what is my the motive in my heart. And if I'm thinking in the terms of this world, of course, it's going to be drawn towards selfishness. And I'm not saying you can take them to a big business thing where you have, but I'm saying in the environment that we have, it's that place where it's okay, and it's a great place. And I have lots of arts and stuff around too, arts and crafts. But and I just want to share you that that's one. It's not for everyone. You have to pray and see where God's calling you. But for me, that was uh, an area where I have to, I love to take everything in my thoughts, captive before the obedience of Jesus. Is like you really live it out and you talk to him and you invite him into all those conversations, and you just don't assume or think that it's, you know, right the right way to do things. But and there might be a season for that, and there might be a season when he says no. But right now that's not what it's for. But when he's separating us from that true faith and the right motive for the kingdom from our selfishness, it's never to destroy us. It's never to destroy us. Um, but it's to prepare us for fruitfulness and responsibility for, guess what? What he showed me was the fruitfulness and responsibility that he's shown us is for the end of the ages, where, at the end of the ages, when the divine judgment will come, and he'll divide, um, the righteous from the wicked. And, it's that shaft, that worthless shaft that is not eternal. So when you look at your life and when you look at the things that are going, what am I doing and what am I being and how am I showing up in my life that is, has that eternal value? And, that's something that he's had in me looking at. And so it's like I pray, and when I'm praying in the spirit and stuff, I'm asking, Lord, take that one wing fork within me to where all that worthless chaff can just be blown off of me, and that I will receive what he has for me that's life sustaining. And it's how we are in relationship, how we show up for people, how we love well, and not letting him be the one who judges. But there's things that we are to step into or step away from, but that's something that have to work in you. So I'm praying and asking the Lord that maybe this will be a new day for you to step into the threshing floor and let the Lord show you things to refine you and to bring you into that life-sustaining grain for your life. And I thank you for listening. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at belovedunveiled@protonmail.com, belovedunveiled@protonmail.com. And also you can check out my website at belovedunveiled.com, belovedunveiled.com, and you can see the different things and that are in there. And, go light your world. Go light your world. Thank